Welcome back, everyone. I'm Selipnir, you can call me Selly, and we're doing things a little bit different this time. I decided that I needed to start recording my voiceover later, so that's what we're doing. This Boo House is a really solid layer 2 level. I really like this. The problem was, I lost my footage the first time around, so this is actually the second time I'm playing through. Um, this was a super fun level. Just getting used to the dipping of the layers was a bit of a challenge. Those two platforms after the Koopa were what really gave me a lot of trouble in this first half. But this was a really solid level. I really enjoyed this. Now what we're going to be seeing in here is we're going to see me playing, but I am also going to be cutting periodically to cut out extended periods of boring footage. So you are also going to get to see not just like continuous footage like you're seeing now, but you are going to see that we're going to cut, the timer's going to skip. What I'm doing there is I'm just cutting out things that are boring to look at. Watching me do the intro 10 times in a row, super boring. Watching me slowly make progress and die funny deaths is much more fun. So this layer 2 is a really slow layer 2, which I appreciate, and that was a really nice way to kind of learn to work with layer 2. Having layer 2 do that really fast smash that it'll do a lot of times can be brutal when you're working with it on, you have to jump on it and platform on it. So you'll see that I'm kind of slowly getting my way deeper into this level. So those last two little smug ghosts, those little Eries, those right there, hitting that second one I found was key. Hitting the first one seemed to really kill the timing on getting to the next set of ghosts. So I ended up skipping the first one, and I actually went back and watched speedruns of this just to see if other people were skipping this too, and they were. So we're going to see here, I'm going to start getting pretty close to actually hitting that extending platform that's going back and forth. The other tricky part was that part I just died on right there. You have to do just the tiniest little spin jump to get over that. You can't be too high, you hit the spikes up top. If you don't give it enough of a spin jump, you're going to just drop into the spikes below. So it's a super precise jump. A lot of these jumps aren't ultra precise like that yet. Like that Koopa jump right there, I could do a big hop on. Although that second Eerie jump, or the jumping off that third Eerie in a row, that one was, you have to do a super big spin jump off of it. So the real key for me to this level was, like any other level, just a lot of patience. I had to really sit and learn to wait right here for those platforms to drop where I needed them to drop to. That was just a big piece of it. The other piece was simply learning where the Eries are going to land. And what we're going to see here is we're going to jump to our winning run momentarily, but I wanted you to see and experience a few more deaths with me. So this ghost house have always, for whatever reason, given me a lot of trouble in Super Mario World, and this one is no different. You're going to see in the second half I get my ass majorly kicked. There I am, I almost make it to the midway. So this one, luckily, I don't think there are any secret exits in Quickie World, so there wouldn't be one in here, although Ghost House typically have them. And we are starting to edge on our victory lap here. Now, again, the first half of the level, I lost the footage, so you are seeing me, after having played it a bit, I do still have to recall it, and there we go. But what I'm now learning is, how do I do this second portion? And I lost my original footage for this, where I am running through without jumping back like you just saw to spawn the Eerie. So I was basically doing this whole run and getting to the part where I need to jump off the Eerie, and there's no Eerie there. That's one part of this level design that really pissed me off. You'll see that the jumps to spawn that Eerie after the midway are really tight. You have that sliding drop in your platforms there, and that's just brutal. So there it is, jumping off the Erie. What you have to do, you have to hit that first block like I did, and on your second jump, you have to jump up onto that block. So it's a pretty tricky one to do. It took me quite a while to get it. I was actually pretty surprised, but what I think kept killing me in here were I got a handful of bad frame rolls, which you can't complain too much about, but they do happen, and I wish they would have been patched out so that Mario would always take priority over the whatever he's spin jumping on. But the other part that was hard for me to get down was the block grab. So we get this jump here. You'll see you have to land on a 1 tile gap, and then that block grab. So it took me a while to figure out that block that I'm standing on when I have the block, that's the one I also need to jump from. So that was another trial and error process. A bit of it got lost to some footage issues, but you are still seeing me try and do the run and jump. The real benefit of waiting on that spot to just wait for the piece underneath that would drop you through to pass is what's going to happen is you're able to much better line up that block grab. Now you're going to see I get it quite a bit, but remember, I cut out all the times that I didn't get it, and it was over 50% of the time that I wasn't getting it. So there's a frame roll death. That one I should have just bounced. Now we are jumping ahead a couple of minutes here, and you're going to start to see me get a lot better at this. The problem with these eerie jumps is that frame roll, but also just figuring out, do I need to do big or small bounces here? And like, I love doing big spin jumps off of different stuff in Super Mario World. There's something that feels really good about it, but doing the really small bounces on the Eries was tough. And you did see there too, the second spring, I almost didn't make it to that spring. I got very lucky on grabbing that block on my second attempt to grab it. So here I am following my original advice to wait, grab the block and go, and now there's another frame roll death. So I was getting hit with those a pretty fair amount, and they were causing me quite a bit of pain on that, because you're subject to the RNG gods there. So after a while it made this level kind of frustrating to try and beat. There's another one where I actually got kicked up, so I couldn't hold down my spin jump button and actually jump off of the Erie. I just happened to land on it in such a way that it came up and I hit it again, and so I lost my spin jump. There I almost had it, and of course go flying off the Kaizo block at the exact wrong time. So those deaths right there were always tough to handle when you knew you were so close to finishing up that section. And then there you are, dead as a doornail. All you had were a couple of jumps left to the end. That was not a fun time, having to sit through those, but we made it through eventually. Now, the rest of this is really me getting a system down for executing the first portion as consistently as possible. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out where do I land on that Erie, because the rest of it I've gotten pretty well down. The tricky thing with that Erie is you're having to jump off screen. There's no avoiding it. So you actually have to jump above the screen and try and gauge where Mario is in relation to the Erie while the Erie's moving. So that can make it a pretty tough jump to do. Now, as I'm getting ready for Grand Poo World 2, and we're not too far away, and I haven't even beaten Quickie World yet, this is going to be a real challenge. Now, I've been watching Barb make Grand Poo World 2 on stream a fair amount, just because he's an interesting dude, and I like watching him design a level. I think it's super interesting to see it go from one to the next. And there's another failed attempt, but I was dialing that Erie in closer and closer. I don't think Barb has any spin jumping off of Eries, But I do know that he has a grab the block level, and you have to throw it and spin jump off of it. And that level is going to kill me quite a bit. So I still haven't figured out my bounce pattern here for the Eries. I'm trying to do mixes of short and tall bounces to really get it down and figure out, what is the best set of bounces that I could possibly be doing for myself in that section. To give myself the best opportunity to hit the Kaizo block, avoid the frame rolls, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm really, really trying to get into with that portion. And here's just another opportunity. I did get this part down very, very consistently, so I was able to make that happen. So there's me experimenting with what if I just do all big bounces, and it didn't work out. But I did learn that the big bounces are going to let me consistently land in the same spot. So what you really do have to do in this is, it's really goofy, but you have to try and do your small bounces when the Erie is at the top of his pathing. So like right when he gets underneath the spikes, right when he hits that blue block that I just grabbed, that's right where you want to do a small bounce. Now the problem is you're trying to ride him and hit a single block as you're riding him. And you don't have all the time in the world to do this because he's not turning around, he's not coming back. So you have to get really good at timing that out, figuring out, what is the appropriate time to do that. And you'll see there I almost just lost the second spring too. Even when you do get a section down consistently, it's nowhere near perfect. So I was getting quite a few. You'll see I haven't cut for a little while now. Every once in a while you just kind of lose it and your hands start to go and you start to go, what the fuck is this? And you stop being able to do the first jump after the midway. Just a part of the game. So it is a fun part of the game because you do kind of, for me at least, I learn it and then I relearn it and I get it better and better every time. My only beef is that the midway here I did not like because of that spawning Erie, and having to do that, I always felt like there was a better way that they could have spawned it, that Valdio could have spawned it to just make it more forward moving. This was one of those midways that I just didn't enjoy. Being at every death was really punishing, just because you have to go back and you have to spawn the Erie. And if you don't know that going in, which I didn't, you end up going way to that end part with the Erie jump, and then there's just nothing. And you're kind of thinking to yourself the whole time, this is Quickie World, I'm supposed to be running, what's making me run? And there was just nothing. So there are a couple of those midway deaths where as time went on, you kind of lose it and your hands sort of forget how to play a little bit. The nice thing is, for me at least, after a few of those I can usually shake it off and get back to business. So I'm still figuring out the Erie pattern here. It was one thing that I did get on camera and I had to learn while recording, so I did not lose that original footage. Just the footage of me learning what to do here was lost. But there it is, very close. I do like the face on that Erie right as he killed me. Eyes wide open, that was very funny. But I was just a hair too far forward there, so he just came right into me basically. Now we are going to get, I don't think this one is it, but we are going to get close there. Hey, there we go. And now I'm really nervous. And there it is. So that ends out our level. It was a pretty brutal level. That midway put a lot of unnecessary difficulty in there, but we'll see you next time.